What's going on, Ray Brown? What's going on, Ray Brown?
Oh, I didn't know we were live.
All right, I can start that
No, no,
over.
no, 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 no. Come on, let's just go.
Here, I'll start it over. That way I could just delete that file.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Family Tech Guys. I am your host, Ray Brown, and I'm joined by Tech Guy Nate. And this is the show where we discuss technology and how it relates to family and families too to technology and using it in their household. And on today's episode, we are going to cover: is Black Friday coming early this year? With the new Evernote changes, is it time to jump ship? What would you do if you went to your favorite concert or your favorite football game or live event for that matter, and you couldn't use your camera on your iPhone? And speaking of Apple, right, all right, they've made some drastic changes to their in-store trade-in program. So did it get better or did it get worse? And also, many parents are fretting over what language their child should learn. We have an idea for you, not only for language, but also for pretty much software and hardware, right? That's what we're going to cover there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and Wi-Fi. So faster and further ranging Wi-Fi was approved, and we're going to discuss exactly what you can do to get your hands on it. And the app Nextdoor now has 100,000 neighborhoods. But first, what the heck is Nextdoor? All this and more is coming up on today's episode of Family Tech Guys. Nathan, what's going on?
Not much, man. It's been a couple weeks. Last week you were a little ill. You were a little ill last week, and we didn't get a chance to record. So you're feeling better now, right?
Yes, I was definitely down and out last week, feeling much better now. What happened is at work last Friday. Yeah, a week ago today at work. Our job, my job ordered Jimmy John's for us to eat for lunch,
I have no
and I
idea what Jimmy John's is. I'm in California, man.
oh, there's no Jimmy John's in California.
No Jimmy
Oh, I
John's.
didn't know that. Well, it's just like a Subway, and they deliver. So I think we
Gotcha.
only ordered that just because they deliver. Well, I normally don't eat sub sandwiches because I don't eat that much bread. Although I did have donuts this morning that Nathan reminded me was full of sugar.
Ooh.
However, I normally on a daily basis don't eat bread. I only save my bread eating for the weekends, and really only one day, which I consider my cheat day. But in any event, we got like these cold box lunches with Jimmy John's in there, and I heated mine up for 30 seconds because I just don't like cold sub sandwiches. I normally get my sub sandwiches
Yeah.
toasted when I do eat them. Well, whatever I heated on the sandwich, whether it was the turkey, whether it was the lettuce or the mustard, it spoiled it in like 30 seconds in the microwave. And that's the only thing that I can point to spoil my sandwich because no one else got sick. I was the only one that got sick, and that's literally the only food that I had that day. I had
Yeah.
Starbucks that morning, but it wasn't food; it was just a drink. And so, yeah, man, like I was throwing up my entire body, and I became so dehydrated that I had the worst headache I've ever had in my life. My body was just slow and
Yeah.
sluggish. I didn't want to drink anything to hydrate myself because my throat hurt, my body hurt, everything hurt. So yeah, it was just a rough weekend. But by Sunday evening, Monday, I was back to 100%. And
Nice.
the
No, it's those things come up on you so quick. It seemed like
oh yeah,
a year and a half ago, but it was like our whole family got food poisoning and just everyone
that's the
was just
worst.
miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, those stink. I wasn't sick, but I did have something that made me sick to my stomach this week. I guess I could say, which with the PO box situation.
Oh,
Now, it's
yes.
not really technology related, but the aftermath was technology related in the sense that I had to change a whole bunch of addresses, which means logging into accounts, change of addresses, you know what I mean, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But the gist of the story was I pay a PO box, which is a UPS store PO box, in the previous city I lived in because we had planned to move back most likely in maybe a couple years. So I was like, we'll keep the PO box there. That way, you're not changing addresses all over the place all the time. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's a 2 hour drive, so it's not completely hard to get back there and check, but it is out of the way. Well, I went back and the lock was changed, and I paid 12 months in advance, and they didn't even give me a phone call or any warning. Apparently, they give the little notice in the mailbox, but obviously, I just hadn't made it back because it's so far out of town the past like 6 to 8 weeks, and I missed the thing because it's been a year. Who remembers that their post office box is due when you pay a year in advance?
Yeah.
And yeah, they instead of giving me a phone call, give me like a little heads up. Hey, you might do you want to pay this or should we close it? Or they just decided to close it, send my mail back, and be done with it. So
Yeah, there's
uh,
many things wrong with this situation. The first thing that stands out to me is that their only way of telling you that it's time to pay was by putting a slip in your mailbox. When they got ready to close your box and send everything and send your mail back, I'm pretty sure they saw the amount of mail that was in your mailbox, which means you hadn't checked
with
your
the
mail
slips,
with the slips
yeah,
in there telling you to check your mail. Everything was still in there. And so
exactly,
that, I
exactly.
mean, I think that would have prompted somebody to say, "Hey, this guy isn't checking his mail. Either he's in jail or he's traveling. Let's try and give him a phone call." Or he forgot all
And
about
well,
this
yeah,
PO box.
and the thing
Obviously,
is,
let's just call the guy. It takes 30
whenever
seconds.
whenever you get a package, they send you a text message like, "Hey, you got a package," and it's like, "Oh, sweet, I'll go pick it up."
Yeah.
So they have the communication capability, even a text message. Hey, bro, you gonna pay? Like,
Right.
at the end of the day, I know it's my responsibility to keep track of due dates of bills. I guess you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's just like an odd one that I don't know. I forgot. I mean, I
It would have
forgot.
been
So
funny if they would have, if their method of getting you to pay was to text message you and say that you have a package, but in order to pick up your package, you must pay, and then tell you, "Oh, we
ransom,
we thought
ransom.
you had a package, but you
No,
don't."
so basically we're essentially getting set up with a new PO box, and I had to change a ton of addresses because we had all our stuff going to that old address. That way we didn't have to change much. Even when we lived in the house in Atascadero or whatever, the our mail we didn't send to the house. We just went ahead and sent to the PO box, knowing that sometimes you move even within a city. It's nice just to always have one address that you don't have to change all the time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, so that was what was going on, and so yeah, I got a nice well, after driving there 2 hours to check solely to check the mail finally, and then putting my key in and turning it, and it wouldn't turn. Like, did you guys change the log on me?
Right, and then you said the manager wasn't there, so there was no one for you to talk to, right?
Exactly. They were basically giving me like, well, we can't talk to you because the manager's not there. But, anyways, bad customer service, which led to hours of sitting at a laptop changing addresses. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Is there an easy way to bulk change addresses? I don't think there is. I guess you'd have
No.
to consolidate your accounts, which isn't a good security
Yeah,
protocol, I
there's
guess.
there's no national directory
Okay.
for companies where you can just go change your address once, and when a company go to send you an address, like whatever address is in that directory
Yeah.
registers. I mean that would probably be a good way, but I mean I don't
You
know
can
how
set
you would
up your
actually
web
make it
browser,
happen.
even one password, to autofill all the address data, but
Right.
that saves a fraction of the time. The real time is spent going to websites, logging in, changing, logging out. You know what I mean? Those over and over and over. But so yeah, that was my virtual stomach ache. So it doesn't quite match yours though. I still would. I would rather probably have to deal with mine than a big stomach bug. Those are the worst.
Oh yeah. Well, hey man, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with Evernote. So this is something that I don't know. I see it becoming not a problem, but it pinpoints, I think, a major change in something that's starting to happen with apps. So when there is pretty much an arms race with apps, right? any app that you can think of. There's just a slew of apps out there, and pretty much it was the freemium model. It was, hey, let's get you addicted to the app, and then let's introduce a pricing plan. Well, now that in my opinion, I think a lot of apps are starting to mature. Now they have to turn that app into a real business. Well, they have this large quantity of customers that's used to using the app one way, but as the business change and the needs of the app change, you start to pivot and change it so you can stay, so this app can stay afloat. And that's pretty much what's happening with Evernote right now. There was a new CEO that took over, I think, less than a year ago, and there has been many changes, a lot of them good, but recently Evernote announced changes to their pricing. So Evernote, there's three different pricing structures. There's a basic, there's a premium, and
A plus or something,
a
and then a premium,
plus.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a basic, a plus, and a premium. The basic is free, and the changes to the basic, because it was before you can have it, let's say that one person had let's say two cell phones, one personal, one for work. Let's say they had an iPad, and then let's say that they had Evernote on their laptop. Well, that's four devices that you have Evernote on. Well, Evernote has changed it on the basic to where if you're using if you're not paying and you're using it free, you can only have Evernote downloaded to two different devices. Now, what I think you can do, you can still access Evernote from the web browser. So you can delete it off your computer, access it from the web browser, and then maybe have it on one phone and one tablet. But just any two devices that you choose, there's a two device limit on there. And
which
then,
which
go
I
ahead.
think is that's probably one of the biggest things right there, because
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of
definitely.
people, that's the whole thing, is have your notes synced across everything. Most people don't have tons of storage that they're using in notes, which is really what you're getting when you upgrade to the other plans. A lot of those features is the more storage, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, pretty much more storage. And it used to be that you were getting the capabilities to have a passcode lock
Oh yeah.
on your device for Evernote, but they did make that a free feature. So,
Which they should. I mean, any security
right.
feature, you should that should just be on every user. That, I mean, that should have been how it was to begin with. But
Yeah. So, from what I understand, Evernote Plus, which used to be $2.99, is now $3.99 a month, or $35 a month. And Evernote Premium, which used to be $5.99 a month, is now $7.99 a month, or you can save 27% by paying yearly, and
yeah,
that's
it's just
$69.99.
that's a standard model. It seems like everyone uses, where you can pay a monthly fee, or you get, basically 2 months free
Yeah.
if you pay in a year. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It seems like the price hikes, like if you're a premium or plus user, I can't imagine you're gonna be that upset over the couple bucks. Like if you really enjoy those features you're getting,
Yeah.
I don't imagine that dissuading you. But um,
What I think is funny is I'm looking on at Evernote's blog right now, and on all of their other blog posts, they have the comments turned on. On this one right here, that's titled "Changes to Evernote's Pricing Plans." It says comments are closed.
yeah,
But
it's just
yeah, I mean, no
there's a
one's
lot of
excited
users
about
of
pricing
Evernote, and
increase.
I don't know. I don't know what their I don't follow the company like super close, especially in terms
Hmm.
of their financials. But they are obviously not doing great. I know when the other CEO left or stepped down or got booted, I forget what happened. He got replaced. They weren't in the best situation. And, I made a joke to you, like they started getting into other little business avenues where they were starting to sell more physical products and not
Yeah,
even as much of their virtual, meaning like they sold Moleskin notebooks and Evernote scanner, like an actual legit full document scanner, and I think even dress socks and just different, odd and I guess kind of stationary items, post-it notes, or those kind of things.
yeah,
And so I don't know, maybe that was like a incorrect route. That's not their core business.
all right.
So I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, if they keep adding cool features and stuff like that, but it definitely sparked this whole transition where like pretty much every website had some type of article about how to switch from Evernote to Apple Notes or to Microsoft's OneNote or to Google was it Keep or all these different note applications. There's no shortage of tutorials on how to jump ship if you wanted to, but I've always liked Evernote basically for the fact that it was compatible with Windows and Mac OS and iOS and Android. You know what I mean? No matter what device you had, you definitely knew you can get Evernote on it and keep your notes all together. So,
Yeah, and see,
yeah,
that's what I was considering because so I had an Evernote problem this week. Unbeknownst to me, I was sent an email saying that there was a problem with my payment, and so therefore my account has been converted to a basic account, and and I can upgrade, but pretty much the upgrade pricing that they gave me in the email is the new pricing. When I should be grandfathered in, um, none of my payment information have changed. So when that happened, I sent them an email. I still haven't heard back from them yet, and it's been at the very least 24 hours. But w- like I started thinking, okay, I know I can export all of my notes, so I'm not worried about a loss of data. But if I decide to use Apple Notes, then how will this affect my device choice, and how will this affect me going forward?
yeah,
And so I was thinking, number one, to my knowledge, you cannot share an Apple Note with a user. So Nathan, if you and I wanted to share an app through Apple Notes, we can't do that. If my wife and I wanted to share a note and both contribute to the note through Apple Notes, to my knowledge, that cannot be done. So that's one of the things that I would be losing. The second thing is if I decided that I wanted to use Android as my main phone, I would not have access to any of my notes because, to my knowledge, there's no way that you can get Apple Notes on Android.
yeah, yeah. Now,
Now, go
real
ahead.
quick to clarify, like, there's two ways you can share a note. Like, you can technically share a note and just send the copy of the note to a person, but you're talking in terms of actually
Collaboration, yeah.
collaborating on a
Yeah,
note. And
yeah.
yeah, I think that's the case. But yeah, go ahead. So you're talking about Apple Notes isn't on Android.
Yeah, so Apple Notes isn't on Android. Now, I am looking right now to see if Google Keep is on iOS because
Yeah,
there's
it is.
oh yeah, great. Okay. Do I have it on my phone already? Let's see. Because there's a
I
ton of Google apps that's on iOS.
Well, just real quick too, to because I can see where you're going with the
Yeah.
Apple Notes versus a Google option. I think what's always been the biggest competitor to Evernote is Microsoft's OneNote. Most people will
And
say
you can get
feature,
OneNote on everything.
yeah, and OneNote is on everything because Microsoft's been doing a really great job. In fact, I think you can get OneNote possibly for free. I don't even know if you need like an Office subscription to even use it. To be honest, I
You
have an Office
might. Yeah, I have an
subscription,
Office
so
subscription.
yeah, exactly. We both have it, so uh, but anyways, it has pretty much most of the features I think you're gonna like or probably are used to in Evernote. It might be laid out differently, but that's my hunch is OneNote is gonna be one of the best overall alternatives in terms of being on all the devices, most of the features. I know Microsoft Office apps, which I'm assuming includes OneNote, probably has great stylus support on your iPad Pro,
Yeah, that is
those kind
true.
of things. So
Yeah. And I'll tell you
yeah.
this. So, Nathan, a couple of months ago, I mentioned, actually back in January, when I started the job that I'm at now, I mentioned that I couldn't use Evernote and I have to use OneNote. So I use OneNote on a daily basis
Oh, nice.
for my job. And I'll tell you this, absolutely love it. I have no, um, like, I have nothing negative to say about OneNote. I absolutely love it. I love the interface. It took me a while to learn it just because I went into it with an Evernote mind frame.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I got past that, I started just embracing the way OneNote is laid out. I love the tabs. I mean, I absolutely love OneNote. So if I had to switch to OneNote now, the major thing for me is okay, do I need an Office subscription? And that's something that I'll find out and I'll report back within the next week. I have one, but there may come a time that um that I don't have, that I cancel my Office subscription, then just use Apple's work suite. which is Keynote, Pages, and Numbers, and just use that versus using Microsoft because I don't use OneDrive, right? And I pretty much only use PowerPoint and Word. But if there's ever a time that I didn't use that, then I will cancel my subscription. And but I don't want to risk losing OneNote. But right now, that's not an issue. So who knows? I don't know. I'll decide within the next week or so, depending on how this Evernote thing turn out, on what I'm going to do. And whatever I do, I'll definitely document it
Yeah, and I just
and
looked up
report back.
OneNote on the iOS store. It just says, on the bottom where usually it says it requires a subscription, it says OneNote is free on iPhone and many other devices. So I want to say the OneNote you don't need the subscription, but yeah, we'll have to definitely take a little bit deeper look into it. Because even Word and stuff you can technically use without the subscription. Some basic features, I think, right? Or is it? Did they switch that over to a full subscription? I forget now. It's something to look into, though. I think OneNote is a pretty cool alternative, but
Okay, I am reading something. It says, so I just Google, is one does OneNote require Microsoft 365? And it says, I found this one article on SuperSite, is like winsupersite.com. So I don't know if I trust it, but anyway, it just says it's official. OneNote is now free for everyone, and this article was posted on this website March 17th of 2014. So who knows? It may be free, but maybe the
yeah, it's probably going to
syncing,
be
yeah,
free in most features, and I'm sure the Office 365 juices it up a little bit, whether it's
yeah,
storage or something. But yeah, I think that's the most obvious alternative, to be honest.
yeah. And granted, I completely understand why Evernote is raising their prices. I'm not upset at them for raising their prices. I mean, I do feel that it may come a time where, hey, when your offerings need to match pretty much what you're charging and what you're demanding. And if you look at everything, if you look at milk, if you look at gas, if you look at bread, I mean, milk is rather unchanged, but the price still goes up, right?
Yeah.
You take Evernote, for example. Evernote, they are constantly improving that app. So for them to have what, maybe one change in the past 5 years, one pricing change, maybe, I don't think that's such a bad idea.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just a situation where at one point they were definitely the leader in note
oh yeah,
taking, right? In terms of
yeah,
features. Like no other note taking app came close. But now, even if we're talking about Google Keep, Apple Notes, feature wise, for many users, that's fine for them. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah.
don't need too many more advanced features. So I don't know. I've always had the idea of I wanted to use Evernote more than I always have, and I just haven't.
Hmm.
I actually just end up I use Apple Notes, to be honest, because
Right.
once again it's like I just jot it in here instead. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I did see an article, and this is the last thing that I'll say about Evernote, but I did see an article that posed a question: could Evernote be the first unicorn to go belly up, or could Evernote be the first unicorn to fall? So, I mean, that spells that there may be behind the scenes a little trouble. Hopefully not. I'm a big fan of Evernote, and so I hope this is just something minor in a big blimp of things.
Yeah, I don't know what they'd have to do to win me over, but
Yeah. Now, Black Friday. Okay, so Amazon announced that on, what is it, July 12th,
correct.
they are coming out with Prime Day. Explain, Nathan, what is Prime Day for those that don't know?
It's basically the day that Amazon puts up a huge sale event like a Black Friday, and I think this is the second annual. They had the Prime Day last summer, I believe. So it's basically just the summer version of Black Friday, which is typically the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. And it's only for people with the Prime subscription, which is I think it's like $99 a year still at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just going to be deals popping up. They say that as often as every 5 minutes there might be new deals popping up. Because anyone that uses Amazon, they knows that they have like the deals of the day, and a lot of times they'll have like, oh, this deal expires in 4 hours. They're timed in that kind of fashion. So you're probably going to have all kinds of cool stuff coming up. So if you're looking to buy some odds and ends, or if you can hold off your Amazon shopping, today is July 2nd. So in 10 days, uh, on July 12th is when they're going to have Prime Day. So actually, I'm looking to possibly get a couple items. We're moving stuff around in the house, and maybe there's a couple little things. We've even talked about getting our daughter maybe a little TV for her bedroom or something. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't
Nice.
know.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Prime right now, and Prime is $99 a year if you pay yearly, and it's $10.99 a month if you pay monthly. So whether you want to pay monthly or whether you want to pay yearly, Prime is available to everyone. And I'll tell you this: there have been times that I ordered something. As a matter of fact, a week and a half ago, I ordered another lavalier mic to plug into my iPhone, and I really ordered it for my wife since she's going to be doing some recording for her job, and she wanted some good audio. I recorded a mic for her. Um, it was so same day shipping was available. I selected same day shipping. They wasn't able to deliver it in that same day, so they refunded the amount that I paid for same day shipping and delivered it the very next day. And so the cool thing about Prime is that I want to say, Nathan, if same day shipping is available, isn't that free for Prime members?
Yeah, there's Prime Now, something like that. I think it's Prime Now is part of Prime. I don't think it's any additional cost, but I think it's location dependent. So like you live in a
Yeah,
big
definitely.
Dallas area, they might offer it. Right now in my area, they don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
And there's this
yeah.
huge Amazon fulfillment warehouse that's probably about 10 minutes from where I live, just right down I-20, just right down one of the major highways here. It's like this huge warehouse, and it says, I think it says Amazon fulfillment on it, or it just says Amazon. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And one of the things that I don't know, everyone use. I just feel like everyone I talk to uses Amazon Prime these days. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. Yeah.
like it's just like a default thing. You could tell because the retailers, I'm sure, like Target and Walmart are feeling it. They're doing all kinds of things to try to do that. In fact, I want to say last year during Prime Day, Walmart even had their own sale stuff like that day online. So look out for possible other retailers trying to join in. And July 12th, man, maybe you can pick up some stuff on a savings.
Right, right. Yes, sir. All right, so let's switch gears and let's talk about something that I don't know your take on it, and honestly, I really don't even know my take. But Nathan, what would you do if? Oh, no, first of all, what is your favorite band out there? What is one artist that you would pay an exorbitant amount of money to go and see?
Like I do love music,
Yeah,
and I'm a big hip hop fan, especially West Coast hip hop. I'm a California man, Dr.
right.
Dre, and of course by proxy Eminem. Even though he's a Detroit artist, he's under Dre and Aftermath and all that stuff. So I'm
Yeah,
a hip hop person, Snoop Dogg, but I, I'm not a concert person. I'm really, really not a concert person. I love watching stand up comedy though. So pretty much, a stand up comedian, I would definitely go watch and see. So I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, as far as an artist, I'm not sure. But I'm messing up your lead in here, Ray. So
no, you're good. It's typical Nathan. So
it's typical Nathan. Actually, I wouldn't pay any money, man.
right.
I'm a cheapskate.
You're
So
like, I would
well,
never go to a
well, here's
concert.
the problem. I got a good friend of mine. He's actually a promoter, and
Yeah.
that's what he does is put on a lot of stand-up comedy acts. So a lot of times it's like, hey Nate, you want to come see Bill Cosby? Or I say Bill Cosby because a while back he did do a Bill Cosby show,
Oh,
but
I was
now
gonna
that's
say,
that's like
man,
that's
that's the
like
first place you're going is Bill
that's
Cosby. I
like
mean, it's
heresy talking about Bill Cosby right now. But
right.
but there's been at least
He's
probably
like, hey
30.
Nate, you want to go see Bill Cosby? No, man, I'm good. Hey, man, I got
Yeah.
backstage passes. No, man, you good? No, man, I'm
No,
good.
man, I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that
Like, yeah, I'm
one.
gonna go ahead and sit this one out.
I don't know why Bill Cosby was on. Maybe it's because I sent you that link of that Kanye West video, famous, that he put
Hey,
out, and
yeah.
Bill
And I was at the
Cosby's.
barbershop this morning, and I watched it, and I was just like, why? Like this. have like this
Bill
video
Cosby's on the
serves
edge of that.
absolutely no point. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
get
know.
the point of the video. I mean, I'm sure it's like something artistic related.
Man, no.
He was trying to get out.
No,
I
it
did.
isn't. You can't just have something stupid and just call it artistic freedom or artistic exploration. No, it's stupid.
Oh,
And I'm a,
anyways,
and I'm a Kanye fan. But anyway, yeah, back to what we were talking about.
so seeing an artist at a concert venue.
Yeah, or going to just any type of live event, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's uh stand-up comedian, just any type of live event. How would you feel if you paid a nice amount of money to go to the event and you go to take a picture of the artist as they're coming on stage, or the comedian, whoever the musician, whoever it is, and your camera doesn't work? How would you feel about that?
You know, I actually have a really interesting thought on this because
Yeah.
I kind of experienced it. My daughter had her dance recital last
Oh,
Saturday or the Saturday before that, and they forbid use of cell phones, right? And
yeah.
initially, it's kind of like what we want to record, but what they did is they brought in professional videographer and photographers, right? Of course, you have to pay like a little bit for the video and whatnot. But two things I have to actually admit. One, it was awesome not having everyone in the rows in front of you raising their arms up, blocking your view with their stupid cell phones trying to record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And two, it's kind of nice to just sit there and enjoy watching your child's performance. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to sit there and be in the moment. So I actually don't mind it. I mean, I guess on some ways, you may not have that alternative of getting a like a professional recorded video at a concert, maybe, or maybe they do, and that's just a thing you have to buy. But in terms of those two things I just said, I actually think me, my being and my wife both enjoyed the experience more, just watching the show and not worrying about that. So, I don't know. I like everyone wants to do it so they can share it on their social media, but I don't know. I don't really care to do that stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know. What's your
So
thoughts? Basically, and what we're talking about here is Apple was granted a patent to basically kind of give maybe concert goers or whatever the ability, probably do some geofence type stuff to block your camera from working if you're in a concert or watching something live, right?
yes, yes, yes. And yeah, so I don't know. I was reading the article and I don't know exactly how that would work. Is it just when your phone is directed towards the stage, it will like blur your camera out, or is it period? Because here's what I'm thinking. So I have several conflicting thoughts, or contradictory thoughts on this. Because on one hand, I like you, I absolutely love it, but then on the other hand, I think about other things, and without me knowing exactly how Apple or anyone else would roll this out, I'm thinking like, okay, will it happen if your phone's navigation, like let's say that there's like a geofence around this venue, and like the second you pull up in a parking lot and it shows that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the fence, your camera's disabled. Well,
No,
then that
no.
then that
So
robs like the pictures that you can take with your friends and your wife and everyone else. Go ahead.
I kind of assumed it was geofence. Actually, taking another glance at it, it looks like it's an infrared signal that's
Yeah,
sent
that's
out, and
yeah,
basically your camera's sensor will just pick it up. So it's only when you actually have your phone up and pointing towards this infrared signal, so which is probably going to be sourced coming from the stage. So if you're
right,
pointing your
right.
camera at the stage, that's what essentially turns off the recording. So that's actually probably even a little bit better. It's less restrictive than just a pure geofence, which I think is what you're going to get at there.
Yeah,
The cool thing is that's like a, I guess you can maybe see it as a negative example, but imagine like say you're at a museum and you're looking at an artifact or a piece of whatever. One example they're saying is you could point your phone's camera at it, and if they have the infrared signal sitting at the camera, as soon as you point your camera on the object,
it'll
you
give
can
you
get
information on
additional
it.
information on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So there's like a plus and minus side, and we don't know for sure if Apple's going to use one way or the other. But we've kind of talked about this before, where people putting, they have those
Those
technology
socks.
socks or
Yeah.
whatever that you can put your things in for a concert. But
Yeah.
um,
I was watching a video where Dave Chappelle have voiced how he absolutely hate cell phones at his shows, and I listened to Bill Burr, and I think Bill Burr is pretty much the same, but Bill Burr hates all things technology.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
for
yeah.
and for me, Nathan, I totally get what you're saying. So I have made a conscious effort to, when I'm at a performance, like I really try to sit back, put my phone on silent, if not turn it off. Most times it's on silent, but just sit back and just really be in the moment and just enjoy what my eyes are seeing, instead of looking at it through a lens and worrying about, oh, I need to record this to let people know that I'm here, to show on my such, and to share on
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah.
or whatever. And it's just like, you know what, for what? Um and the one thing I always told myself this is that, if I were to meet someone, because I hear stars talk about this all the time, about how it used to be that their fans would meet them, shake their hands, like look at them in their eyes, and really engage in a conversation with them, and just talk about how much they like their work. But it's like now it's
Selfie.
just, hey, take a selfie with me, and then like you're gone. Oh, thank you for taking a selfie, and then you're gone. So it's not even about the star anymore. It's just about the person, them, trying to get cool points with their friends or raise up their social
Hmm.
profile by saying, "Oh, look, I took a picture with this person." And I just think it's just completely backwards. And I've always told myself that if I meet someone who I hold in high regard that's a performer, I'm definitely going to. I'm not even taking my phone out. I don't care if I get a picture with them. I just want to shake the person's hand and tell them, "Hey, thank you for your art. Thank you for entertaining me," and like just really engage with them. And I hope people start doing that more at shows. Like, just number one, respect the art, and just really take it in and just be in the moment and enjoy it. I don't care to go back on my phone, and because I've seen Common several times, I've seen Nas, I've seen Jamie Foxx here in Dallas. Uh, I've seen Kanye here in Dallas when he dropped Late Registration, and I never go back and look at the footage of them on my phone, but it is always in my memory,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy that.
It's
Just
usually like
having a mental
a
picture.
really cruddy video of
Oh,
wherever
and
your bad
yeah, and the
seat
sound is
was.
horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So the way like I go back to the comedy shows, which is a similar thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, just I'd rather go to the comedy show, enjoy the show, no photos, pictures, and then afterwards, yeah, a lot of times they do like a meet and greet. Go up, meet them, have a short, 2-minute conversation, like you said, and then at the end of that, I don't have a problem. Like, you snap a selfie, like have a memory of that. Like, it's special. You had a conversation with them. Have a memory of that. Let the photo spark the memory of the conversation you had. Don't do the photo just to like you said, with the only purpose of sharing it. Look, like you said with your friends, like, oh, I got to meet
yeah,
such and such superstar. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I don't know. I feel like part of me is a little bit like on my old man
Oh
soapbox here a
yeah,
little bit,
definitely.
but it's just I really think that like I said, it's real annoying when you go to those shows and then people have their cell phones up right in front of you, blocking what would be your
Blocking
view
your view
of
of
the
the
show.
stage.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just
yeah,
and you're seeing their screen of what's happening. I'm like, oh my goodness, like put the thing away. I'm a big, we're on a show called Family Tech Guys, and
right.
I'm just like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
um, and especially like I said, it was nice. It's kind of this idea, and me and my wife joked about it, where you go on a vacation, and a lot of times you spend all this time also setting up and taking pictures of you and your family and different stuff, so you can remember your trip. But me and my wife were like, it'd be so awesome to just hire a photographer to just take the candid pictures and stuff while you just enjoy your vacation, and then you can look back at the pictures later. That way, you don't have to like worry about taking the time of the experience away. There's someone just like secretly snap, snap, snap. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just
we are so on the same page there. My wife and I, well, my family and I, we're discussing having a destination Christmas, and we want this to become a yearly tradition. That instead of spending Christmas at home,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we travel somewhere and spend Christmas, and just don't get gifts, but just travel somewhere. And we may buy little things here and there, but um, my wife and I have already decided that anytime we travel or anytime we go to an event, we have a personal photographer. It's my a good friend of mine. I met him when I was working at Sprint, and him and I have become like really really close friends. Um, and he's going to be my personal photographer. I've already told him that, hey, whenever we travel, I'm going to not only book you a flight, but yeah, I may even pay for your hotel and then pay you to just record our family vacation, or just record us. I mean, even if it's a birthday party, or even if like for the 4th of July, if we're going somewhere and I feel like, hey, I'm gonna want some pictures of this, instead of me, number one, having to ask a stranger to take a picture of us, just so I can be in the picture myself. So I don't have to take a selfie, because that becomes a horrible picture when you're trying to get your whole family in there. Or me taking a picture myself and not being in the picture, which I pretty much already covered that with having a stranger
Yeah.
take a
And
picture.
now,
I'm just gonna hire somebody just to just come and just film it.
yeah, and now I mean, who knows? Like, with the advent of all these drones and technology, artificial intelligence, maybe our kids are going to be able to have these little boxes and things, and program a drone that follows you around, or a robot that can serve the same purpose. You know
Yeah,
what I
no, that
mean?
would be awesome. I
And
would
with
sign
some
up
of
for
these
that.
tools coming up, I mean, we got tools. We've talked about Apple Swift playgrounds, and even Project Blocks. That was I make was within the last 2 weeks since we last spoke has been announced. There's these different tools that kids can basically create their own creations, both from a hardware and software perspective. Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So as we record this, I keep picking up my phone because there was this person that sent out a happy 4th of July. Number one, today is Saturday. The 4th of July isn't until Monday. Don't send a group message on a Saturday saying it's happy 4th of July. And number two, they send it to one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 different people who none of the numbers are saved in my phone except for the person that sent me the message. Come on, man, stop sending group messages. Gosh. I know you feel the same way, Nathan.
No, yeah,
But yeah.
you get stuck in them. You get stuck in them, man.
Right, man. Just copy and paste and send all individual messages. Stop taking the lazy way out. Gosh, man. I just,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good stuff. Especially when you don't know who the other people are. Like, I never respond. I'm like, I don't know who these people
Right. Just
are.
give everybody my phone number. Why don't you? I have their number, you know. But anyway, yeah, man. But the whole camera. Oh, and here's one other
Well,
thing.
oh,
As why artists hate cameras at their shows. Take an artist that's going on tour, for example, and I'm going to use Kanye West because I know that. Oh, well, or take a comedian. So whether it's a musical artist or a comedian, they do that same exact act in every city. Someone go to a show on a Wednesday, right? They record most of the show, half of it, put it on YouTube. The city that the artist is going to, let's say that Thursday or that Friday, that city have already seen half of what the artist is going to do, so it isn't fresh. And so
yeah,
in the
yeah,
past, when there was none of that, an artist could go and they can have a fresh act. Or let's say that an artist, let's say a stand-up comedian, they work on building a new act for an entire year. Let's say that they're out testing material, it makes its way onto YouTube. So when they do their comedy special, or when they do their big mega tour with all the material they've been testing, all of it is already on YouTube. So now they have to churn these jokes and do it faster, and like come up with new jokes faster, which may lessen the quality of their act. I don't know. It's just it goes like beyond there. It is it's layers deep.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
No, yeah, I agree. I was
talking about
do
blocks and so
yeah.
on.
Well, no, I was
Uh,
doing the little transition into the.
yeah.
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the kids. Basically, I mean, you got Apple's Swift Playgrounds, Project Blocks, even Bose, the speaker company, has Bose Build teach kids how to build speakers, like DIY speakers, and there's a lot of circuitry involved in the speakers.
Hmm.
It seems like these things are starting to really target kids, both from the hardware and software perspective. Um, I don't know. Some of them. There's been a lot of pretty good reviews on Apple's Swift playgrounds, but we were talking about, you know, what language should your kid be learning, possibly going in school and whatnot. And I have to kind of, when you think about it, they have all these great translation apps anymore, and that stuff's just going to get more and more advanced. So
Hmm.
like learning separate languages, it seems to be, I won't say less valuable, but just a little less valuable. You know what I mean, compared to what it's always been. And something like being able to use a programming language seem to be skyrocketing in value right now. So it's kind of like, which one, if your kids are learning a language, you know what I mean, a software language could possibly be the route you take them in. And if you can get their interest and passion up early as a child with using some of these tools, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Nathan, I agree with you 1 billion%. I think we talked about this last week, or maybe you and I talked about this personally. But right now, as far as the school that we're going to send our daughter, our oldest, to, she starts first grade in the fall. The two schools that we're deciding is completely different in philosophy. One school goes, it's like half homeschool, half classroom instruction, or it's half parent led instruction, half teacher instruction is what they call it. But this school, the children are in school the hours of 8:30 in the morning to 1:50 in the evening, right? And it's supposed to be from, like, I don't know, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, whatever you decide, is parent led instruction. And you can take your child, you can do whatever. There is absolutely no requirement from the school to what the parents do with their children. But it's designed so the child is getting teacher led instruction and also parent instruction. Well, then there's another school that is the complete opposite. It's like an international leadership school, and the children are in school from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening, and their instruction is 45, 45, 10. 45% in English, 45% in Spanish, and 10% in Mandarin. And on the surface, you're like, man, why wouldn't you want your child to learn English, Spanish, and Mandarin? But my wife and I was just thinking about our overall philosophy, and we value more parent led instruction than we do the 45, 45, 10 model. And my wife and I, like, we were really getting into it and talking about it. And we were saying, number one, our daughter getting out of school at 1:50, we're definitely on board with that. If we really wanted to, we could hire her a Spanish and a Mandarin tutor and just have that, let's say, once or twice a week. Uh, she learned that as part of her parent led instruction, but we can also teach her whatever we want her to learn. And so my wife and I started talking about the value of learning a language. And I said, right now is very valuable. But when our daughter becomes an adult, that's going to be, she's 6. She turns 6 in August. So 6 to 18. So what, that's going to be, what, 12 years from now? So in 12 years, there's no telling with AI and with everything else, there's no telling how valuable knowing Spanish and knowing Mandarin is going to be. However, if we dedicate that parent led instruction to teach her how to build pretty much hardware, like you were saying, and teach her a programming language, I think that language is going to be much more valuable than her knowing Mandarin or knowing Spanish. Now, Spanish, we can
You got
teach
to
her
speak
that.
robot, man. You got to speak robot. They're gonna take over.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you think about this, Nathan, there's apps right now like Duolingo. My wife and I, we're both of us are learning Spanish on Duolingo, and I can read it much better than I can speak it right now. But I've learned more using Duolingo for the last month than I learned taking Spanish 3 years in high school and 1 year in college. And so for our children, once Reagan is at that point to where she can read and she can write, to where she can interact with Duolingo and learn, then we can teach her a language that way. So I think, to your point, it's less valuable to learn speaking language than it is to learn a programming language. And so that's what we're placing our emphasis in. And Project Blocks, I think, is awesome. Swift Playgrounds is awesome. Microsoft, if you live in a city that Microsoft have a store, then if you go to that store, go to the events, I think children starting at 8 years old, they teach them how to program, how to code, and they use games like Minecraft and other games that really have children's attention to do so. And I think that that's the language of the future. What do you think, Nathan?
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm looking at some of the Bose stuff here with what they can do with the speakers and learning how to do that. I just remember as a kid, that's the kind of stuff I did. I took apart a lot of my electronics and put them back together. I'm just so fascinated with how stuff like that works, and they have a tool that specifically is meant for teaching kids how it works. Um, I don't know. Every kid's gonna be different, and maybe your kid's just not into some of that stuff, and that's fine. But
They don't have a choice, Nathan. They don't
yeah,
have a choice. They're
but
gonna
the
do it. Nah.
but with the language thing, I've always found that, or I thought more or less that unless you live in a place where it's going to constantly speak that language, even if you learn it, you're going to forget it. It's kind of I feel like
Yeah, that's
language is
true.
one of those things you got to use to keep in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're going to remember some of it. It's just like you said. I did the same thing in 3 or 4 years of Spanish in school, and I basically could tell you probably 10 words right now. You know,
Right.
and when it's on the top of mind, like even if you're doing like a Duolingo or one of those other Rosetta Stones or something,
Yeah.
you're gonna remember a bunch because you're actively doing it. But to get that level of, I mean, you want to be proficient where you can go to a place that speaks it and at least get by, right?
Yes.
And to do that, I just feel like you're gonna have to like live there, or like if I was moving to another country and they spoke a different language, like next month, then yeah, it'd be at
Oh
that
yeah.
point. That's when it's super valuable to go ahead and dive deep and start learning it. And when you live there, you're gonna keep speaking it. And but I feel like unless you're, for me at least, unless I'm moving to another country that speaks that language, then what's the point of learning it right now for me? So I'd
Right.
rather spend my resources learning something else, maybe even something software related. Right now, I feel like I'm like past the deadline though, or something. I mean, I'm only in my early 30s, but even learning a software language seems like, oh man, I don't know if I can invest the time in that.
Well, and I feel the exact same way that you do. And I'm also looking at this. So looking at it from I'm 30 years old perspective is I have to keep my skills afloat because I don't plan to stop working anytime soon. Like I still want to be able to tinker. I still want to be able to contribute to society long and into my 60s and 70s. And so if I'm 30 and I plan on at least working to 60, that's another 30
Yeah,
years that I plan on contributing to society through work. And so yeah, I'm like, okay, I can take a good 5 years and really dive deep into programming language and learn it because I'll have the next 25 years that I can contribute in some way or some form. So, yeah, I don't think you're a lost cause, Nathan. So I don't think
I
you're
give up.
you're
I give
past it, right? So I'm looking
up.
here on Bose Build website. I would tell any parent as far as like hardware, read the requirements before you buy your child the devices. I'm looking here on Bose Build, and it says requires a mobile device, and in parentheses it says for discovery and build activities, and it says any iPhone, iPod Touch, or iPad running iOS 8 or newer, except for the iPad 2. Then it says for a complete list of compatible devices, see here, and that's build.bose.com. But there are no Samsung or Android devices on here. So it look like right now, at least for Bose Build, the only device that is compatible with are iPhones.
Basically, yeah, a lot of companies do that. They release their
Yeah,
stuff on iOS first or something like that.
yeah,
But um, yeah, so definitely take a look at that. But it seems pretty cool. I mean, I don't know, that's exciting. I mean, it
it
seems at this
is.
point everyone has at least an iPad, right? Right?
Uh,
Has to be.
yeah,
No, but going from
yeah,
traveling over the world to right next door, Ray. Like there's a little app, and I actually have a couple stories of using this app called Nextdoor. That
yeah.
the the app has recently expanded to up to, what was it, 100,000 U.S. neighborhoods.
Yes,
Is that
and
the right number?
I've never used Nextdoor, but I'm
Yeah, it's
downloading it
basically
now.
it's a social network, right? But it's supposed to be built around a geofenced area, and it's they call it your neighborhood, and uh, it seems that Nextdoor somehow arbitrarily sets these neighborhoods. So it might be a few blocks around you, a few city blocks or something, just depending on the neighborhood. Um, and basically, it's an app that lets you contact all your neighbors around you. So it's a way to share information with just those people that live around you. Maybe you want to know, hey, what gardener or whatever do you use, or does anyone have a good pool guy, or hey, something happened, someone stole some stuff out of my car. Make sure you lock your cars at night, or so you can use it for different things like that, or just post things about maybe you're having a block party or street street barbecue and you're
Yeah.
inviting all your neighbors over. So it's a pretty cool app that just kind of localizes it to just your area. And I did use it for a while, but the thing with Nextdoor is they have this like threshold in a neighborhood, and if they don't meet that threshold, they'll close that neighborhood out, or just they basically closed off my account. Um, because we didn't reach the amount of people they wanted in our neighborhood before a certain amount of time, so our neighborhood was essentially shut down. So the idea is they want to have at least X amount of people active in your neighborhood at some point before that really is fully active, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a great way, or you could also probably even use it as a way to sell things like locally. Like, hey, I got this piece of gym equipment, a treadmill. Does anyone in the area want it? Cheap, or you know what I mean? Like,
All right.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool use cases for it, but
Yeah, I'm looking right here and it says stuff like get recommendations for trustworthy service providers like plumbers, roofers, contractors. Ask for help in finding lost pets. Hear about
oh, that's a
neighborhood
good one.
events, rallies, yeah, and even yard sales. Connect with the neighbor's best babysitters, dog walkers, and pet sitters. So there are a number of applications for Nextdoor. It's just Nathan, just as you said, getting everybody on it. Not everyone have the same devices. Not everyone know about the same thing. So half of the neighborhood may not even know about Nextdoor,
Yeah, they give you
and
these
just
options to go around your neighborhood putting little door flyers on everyone's door that says, "Hey, go check out this app, download it, get in our
you put
neighborhood."
on my door, it's going right in the trash.
Yeah, but like I'm just like I'm not gonna go
Not
door to
right.
door for next
Yeah.
door, man. This is insane. And you can also send out postcards, but then they put your name on it, like your neighbor Ray Brown has asked if you wanted to join next door, and I was like, I don't want to be that. I
Like
just didn't
Ray, I
care
don't
to do
even
that,
like
but
Ray. He needs to cut his yard.
yeah, exactly. I don't want to be like the leader of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just it seems like an interesting idea, and I think if you had a neighborhood that used it, it'd be a cool way to keep in touch. Because the way, and I learned some of this stuff even in architecture school, but the way we build like house neighborhood stuff now, I mean, everyone has their 2-car garage. A lot of people just pull straight in their garage, pull straight out, and hardly ever even say hi to their neighbor anymore, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's just the way it is. Maybe this is a way where technology can help you like meet your neighbors again. Finally, I mean, it used to be like I remember as a kid, I knew all my neighbors. I'd run on neighbors' doors, knock on them.
Oh yeah.
Hey, can so come out? And nowadays, it's probably I'd imagine kids are just going to be
They're
like
like, get off
texting.
my lawn. No.
Yeah. Snapchatting. Hey, you want to come out and play?
Yeah, exactly. Um,
So yeah,
yeah, I definitely see it as I mean there are definitely some use cases here, and yeah, I mean it's just getting everybody on it and getting everybody on the same page is like herding cattle. You know, everybody going in a different direction and trying to get them to do the same thing and use it in the same way. I guess if you have an HOA, the HOA could implement it and say, hey, this is going to be the app that we're going to use and send it out in like a newsletter or
yeah,
something. I don't know.
exactly. Yeah, it could be a totally cool a way to just communicate with your neighbors. It's a cool app. I mean, if you haven't heard of it, try it out. And your neighborhood might already be off and running, and you
All
didn't know
right.
yet. You know what I mean? Like, give it a shot. And if not, like I said, they give you the tools to they give you the tools to get up and running. So If you're that outgoing personality, maybe listen to the show. A lot of nerdy tech guys may not be that, but
Yeah, exactly.
but a lot. Some of us, we're brave enough to start a podcast. So maybe someone out there would go out, get their neighborhood going, and like I said, once it's going, there's a lot of use cases where it's pretty awesome.
Yes, sir, it is. All right, Nathan. So, Wi-Fi. Let's talk about Wi-Fi since we're in the
Wi-Fi.
neighborhoods.
We're in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
neighborhood.
So you told me about this story, and I knew nothing about it. So you said that there is a committee that approves Wi-Fi
The
and
Wi-Fi Alliance.
the Wi-Fi Alliance, and they just approved new Wi-Fi that allows faster and longer range.
Yeah.
So tell
So
us more about that.
802.11 AC, which is this, such a crazy tech number type thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just basically it right now. That's the current fastest internet Wi-Fi, right? Like most of the new iPhones have it. A lot of new tablets have it. Your iPad Pro, I think, has 802.11 AC. And to get it to work, you need a Wi-Fi router that's hooked up to your internet to broadcast that signal. Well, one of the things with AC is, it's super fast, but the range is short. It's even shorter than wireless in. So, supposedly the Wi-Fi Alliance has proved what they're calling Wave 2, or it's basically a second revision of 802.11 AC, or version 2.0 of 802.11 AC. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can say it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the second version of it. And in addition to just a little bit of increased range, one of the things they're really the tech pieces of technology that's going to make it real awesome is they're calling it multiple user, uh, multiple input and multiple output, which is they always called it short MIMO, MIMO, and it just kind of it's a way for the routers to fast switch between all these devices. But as you know, Ray, we're getting a ton of devices now connected to our routers, right? I mean, it's a ton. So now they have these multiple user MIMO technologies, which basically it's going to allow the new routers that are probably going to be rolling out by the end of the year to rapidly switch between clients transmitting to them at the same time, right? So you have a house with active Wi-Fi users all over the place. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, technically, a lot what happens is the router is just super switching between each one, sending the data, sending the data. Well, imagine now if it's able to actually send that data to multiple people at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where one person's streaming Netflix and another person's like, "Why is it so slow for the second?" And then their router kicks in on your device. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
you get these little small hiccups every now and then. You wonder what's happening. Well, it's because routers, that they're still adapting to all the new technologies we have in the sense that there's so many devices now. I don't even know. I probably can go on my router to see how many devices I actually have connected via Wi-Fi, but it might be upwards of 20 to 30 devices. You
Oh,
know what I
dang.
mean?
I was
If you're
thinking 11 because I just counted. So we have three Apple TVs, my personal cell phone, my work cell phone, my iPad, my MacBook, my work iPad, my wife's cell phone, my wife's iPad, and then the children's iPad. Yeah, that's 11
yeah, and
devices.
well, a lot of
Oh,
people
and
you
my
got
wife's computer. I don't know if I named her computer, but yeah, so yeah, that's
yeah
about 12.
you got Apple watches that technically
Oh,
are also
shoot.
connected.
Yeah. All right, well,
You
14.
if you have the Nest thermostats or any other Internet of Things devices
Yeah.
around the house, Sonos speakers, you know what I mean? Like the list goes on and it just keeps
All right.
adding up. Like I said, you almost forget how many you probably have, and then you got multiple people streaming on Apple TV at the same time. So uh, little things like that and support for different kind of channels that make basically just increase the bandwidth and the speed. I think that's going to play into a big factor of you got a lot of areas now. Austin, which is near you, has Google Fiber rolling out um, with these really fast internet speeds. So to utilize that properly, you kind of want to have. I mean, the router's like the core unit. If your router's not upgraded, then none of your devices can get any of this new stuff. But if you have a new router and you happen to have say whatever the new iPhone 7 that supports it, then you're going to start rolling out these pretty cool updates. Now, the fruition of this is probably going to be about a year and a half before I say this is really flushed out, and people upgrade a little bit and devices start really supporting it. But I've always been really fascinated keeping up on some of the updates with routers, just because I like to keep that stuff in mind. I mean, it's like the key. It's the key that spreads your internet throughout your whole house. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
it it definitely is, and I will tell you here, I probably reset my router maybe once or twice a day, just because I think it's overloaded, and I'm definitely in the market for a new one. So I'll be calling you like, hey
Well,
Nate,
yeah, exactly.
what kind of
Now, I
router should
mean,
I buy?
exactly. Now probably to go ahead and wait for a Wave 2 802.11ac device, which, like I said, by the end of the year, you're going to start seeing them. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple updates their Airport Extreme or something even, but
Yeah, they should. Yeah. Well, Nathan, anything that we forgot to cover?
that's pretty much it. There's a little blip on. Did we cover the trade up program, or is that something we're
We
gonna?
did not. No, let's go ahead and go there. So, Apple, they changed their trade up program. Whether it's for the better or the worse remains to be seen the way it plays out. But basically, the front half of that, they used to offer up to a $300 credit when you trade in one phone for the next. That now will top out at 250. So that means pretty much if you have the best of the best phone, you're only going to get 250 for it, and then there's going to be a sliding scale down from there. And as far as them financing your phone, Apple themselves will not finance the phone anymore. It's going to basically go through the mobile carrier. So,
Yeah,
Nathan,
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong here. I walk into an Apple store. I trade in my iPhone 6 for an iPhone 6s Plus. So let's say my total is $500, right? I get $250 for my iPhone 6. So that extra $250, I don't have it to pay the difference, or I don't want to pay the difference. I'd rather finance it. Apple says we don't finance it, but you can still get your phone here. Since your carrier is Verizon, it's technically financed through Verizon. Apple, we're just a middleman that's
hmm
allowing you to finance this phone that you're getting from us through Verizon. Is that correct?
exactly. Yeah, so Apple has removed the ability to get an interest-free loan through Citizens Bank, which is what they did previously. And I think, as far as the what you get the credit, they says it goes down to 250.
Yes.
I wonder if that's just because the phone's older now too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
as we
it
get
could
closer
be.
to the new phones, the value you're going to get back to it's going to decrease constantly. It's just like a slow decline. Every day your phone's a little less valuable. So I don't know if that's a huge deal, but the getting the finance through the carrier, I don't know if there's any like interest fees you pay versus the interest free loan you got through Apple before, or
Yeah,
if
I
it's
don't
just
think there's
tacked
any
on.
interest. Yeah, the
Yeah,
only complications I see in this is that, and Nathan, you've done a great job of bringing this up in the past, but pretty much having an unlocked phone enables you to go to any carrier, right?
correct.
So I can walk into Apple, uh, get an iPhone through them, finance it through them, and my financing is through Apple, so I'm free to go to whatever carrier I want. If now when I go to the Apple store and I need to finance, I'm now, let's say, since my carrier is Verizon, I'm financing through the Verizon. In 6 months, if I decide that I don't want Verizon anymore, I want Sprint. Well, I still owe Verizon money for that phone instead of owing Apple for it. You, is that
Yeah,
right, Nate?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just depending. I mean, there's going to be lots of options, and as the iPhone 7 and the new phones start approaching, I'm sure we'll get into much more detail. This is kind of just throwing it out there as a heads up. Some people update their phones mid-cycle, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They just have different. Like I like to update my phone as soon as the new one comes out, but a lot of people wait, and when you wait, you can also pick up some good deals at some places too. So just
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
true.
throw that out there in case you're in the market for it. But I think that is about to wrap up the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Join us. Join the conversation first before you join us next week. Join the conversation, and you can send us an email, contact at familytechguys.com, or you can find us on Twitter. I am Ray Brown, and Nathan is at Tech Guy Nate. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single household needs a tech savvy individual. You should be yours. Take care. Thank you so much for joining us.